Now it should be.
Yes, it's still coming up.
Yeah, I don't know for some
Yeah,
reason.
now it's okay.
I don't have hangover, but my machine does have still. So I need some cleanup. Okay, thank you again, Pallavi. Let's get started. So welcome everyone. I'm glad that on the second day of New Year, despite the hangover and New Year factor, instead of taking rest, you decided to join us. So when we thought about multiple activities like we keep conducting every weekend, so I thought the first weekend of the new year, what's better than starting with some list that as a technical writer we might be aware of individually. So gathering all the lists, sharing with you all, and that may help you plan your calendar for 2022, and not just a general calendar, but some very specific calendars. A specific calendar in the sense that general stuff we all know, but probably if you all could know at one place what's the current trends, whether you are a leader, whether you are a senior technical writer, or even if you are a fresher or a very junior level of technical writer who has just started career with 1 year of experience. So based on your skill set, based on your role, you can decide your own path. And apart from doing your organizational work, you can prepare yourself, get more skilled. So this is what today's session is all about. There might be few things in this session some of you may be aware of, but I hope overall it helps you chalk out a plan. So as the topic suggests, third pillar. The main point about third pillar is pillar, of course, everybody, all of you know what is a pillar, you know very well what is its importance in anything. When we talk about industry, IT industry especially, uh, there are different departments which basically form the teams, and that's how the business runs. It's a well-known fact that development is the most important team that any company generally thinks of, because they build the software on which the whole sole business of a company lies. Once development completes the product that is ready to be shipped, there is a second department which holds probably the second most important role for a company, the team that sells the product. So it's sales team. Now, how do we think technical documentation can be considered as the third pillar? Third pillar means the most important third pillar of the company. The theory is simple. Development builds something which customers can use. Sales takes them to the customers. But then how the customers are supposed to use it? They need some kind of help. Who provides that? That is technical documentation team. Many of you may be aware, if you know how companies interact with the customers, how they convert leads into customers. Many customers nowadays, before buying the product, they ask for access to the technical documentation. And the reason is simple for them also. They know that any company has corporate website. The team, marketing team that interacts with them, they provide a lot of information. They provide demos also. They provide a lot of promises also. But then the buyers have got a bit smart, because many times they have seen corporate website, they have got promises from marketing team, and they at times felt, if not cheated, then at times they felt that whatever was promised, they did not get it up to the full extent. So to understand what exactly the product does, what to expect, Many companies now ask access to the technical documentation material. And why do they trust technical documentation more than the marketing material? I'm not saying marketing material tells lies, but yeah, it certainly promises a bit more than what's expected. In technical documentation, we can't afford to write anything which is not existing. We can't write imaginary things. We can't write the dream vision of the management in technical documentation. We have to see the product, and as it behaves and as it works, we write it as it is. And that is legal compliance. Technical documentation cannot be wrong. Otherwise, the company can be sued. That is where technical documentation can be considered as the third pillar. In general, as all of you must have been like working in this industry for quite some time. So when you think about your delivery, what all you are delivering, then you will try to relate that what are we actually third pillar? I mean, what I'm presenting today, this is not based on some false imagination. There are some facts. And if you don't relate with it, then please feel free to discuss. So let's first understand, where do we stand in a company? All of you know that in a company, apart from development, sales, there are different project teams. There is quality analyst team, or basically solution engineering also. Then we have product managers, we have business analysts, we have many other team members. There are customer facing teams, there is support team, and then there is one documentation team. The size of documentation team, of course, varies, depends on company's requirement. But most of the time, at least in the past, we used to hear that technical documentation team is kind of liability because it's directly neither generating revenue nor it is helping the company to generate customers directly. But over a period of time, now this perception is changing slowly. Technical documentation team is generating revenue. In some companies, it's generating revenue directly by selling the help content. In some companies, it is generating revenue by reducing the cost to the customer. Some of you might have heard that if somebody says, what is technical documentation? What does it do? So the basic explanation somebody gives is, okay, it helps to reduce support tickets. Now, when it helps to reduce support tickets, that is also helping generate revenue because it's reducing the cost. Support tickets cost a lot. Every call to support, and the way teams maintain support teams, it basically costs a lot. There is a cost involved to customer, there is a cost involved to the company also. When technical documentation is good, it helps the customer also. All the time they don't need to go to the support. And it helps organizations also to reduce the support headcount. I'm not sure how in many of the organizations where you are working it works, but I have seen in my personal example in some companies that support also their first reference point when they are solving a support ticket, their first reference point is the documentation website. So if customers can have direct access, of course, customers will not reach support. Generating lead, like I said, customers consider, at least the smart customers now, they consider doc website more authentic. As a result, they first come to doc website if it is public. They first come to doc website, analyze the product through that, and then take a call. And that's how from there from a lead they can be converted to a customer. There is a way where doc team can also help in sharing this information. For example, by using analytics, we can assess who is visiting our website. And the moment we see that apart from our general customer base, there are some visitors which are typically not our customers, we can share this information with the teams who are responsible of converting leads. And that's how they also get helped. So values of a doc team, probably, I'm sure, hopefully you all also understand. And if in your organization, if you feel or if you come across people who don't understand, feel free to tell them. So before going further to what all could be the helping factor for us to shape our learning curve in this year, let's first try to understand a few things which are already existing. Overall, what do we deliver actually? In general, for external users, that means customers, for external users, we create different kinds of guides. There are hundreds of names for those kind of guides. I don't need to repeat the name, but basically those guides help customer at each and every step, right from installing to different kind of usage. While using, they get into trouble, we have troubleshooting, we help through release notes, and we have FAQs also. Release notes help the teams basically inform the customers and other leads also in advance that what exactly to expect from our product. And documentation team does that. Apart from external users, in many big companies especially, there are technical writers required for internal users also because they have a lot of internal documents. Many times, especially in today's world, we see, apart from general documentation and maintaining the wikis, they have internal APIs, which they don't share with customers. Even for that, they need technical writers. Some of you might have come across some requirements, job opportunities, where you may have been told that you will be writing for the internal users. General guides we all know, and I think it's very popular, so all of us know that we write different kind of guides. But apart from guides, if you go to the definition and if you go to the global level, what other things technical writers do? So you can see there are other documents. Everything is not here in the list. Some documents which you might associate with marketing teams, product managers, or general other work that a company does with customers. In those things also, many companies take help of technical writers. In short, if we say wherever a customer facing content is required, technical writers play a key role. So that's why I have called it past trends, because these have been happening for a long time. Here in latest trends, some of these you must have heard of already, but why I call it latest is it's picking up, at least in the Indian market, it's picking up. Earlier, for developer documentation, nobody used to think of technical writers. Everybody will say they don't understand it. Developers are the best person to write it. Nowadays, look at the scenario. If you have been noticing in the last 1 year how the JDs are basically shared, more than 50% of the JDs, either they ask for pure API documentation writer, no technical writer, just API documentation writer. Of course, those API documentation writers, in general, they have technical writing experience also. Otherwise, there is a mixed demand. Technical writer with knowledge of API documentation. So if you know the basics of API documentation, you are in a special league and there is more demand. Apart from API documentation, there are different levels of developer documentation. Some of the popular ones are listed here. And for those also, remember, for all these things earlier, developers or somebody who knew technology completely, they used to write. Now it is slowly coming up to technical writers. So this is a niche field. And yes, for these, you may need to upskill yourself a bit. First of all, you should know technical writing. Secondly, whatever that kind of developer documentation involves, you may need to learn a bit, but then it's worth learning. The future belongs to it. There are countries, some of the people who come to me and ask, can technical writers get a job abroad? Yes, they can. Yes, even Indian tech writers can get job abroad as pure technical writer. But then you have to learn a few things which are rare in the market. APIs belong to that. There is a world of Europe, there is a world of Singapore, where there is a lot of demand for API documentation writer. If you have the right skill and if you want to go abroad, go grab it. And of course, as I mentioned, in India, it's picking up a lot. Secondly, apart from writing the guides, technical writers have been now providing more help in fixing the content on UI, user interface, whatever appears, whether you see a line, a label, or some kind of information. It comes to technical writers. If it is not coming, and if your organization doesn't have a dedicated UX writer, remember, many organizations now, they do have UX design team. Still, very few have UX writer in their design team. UX design team is responsible only for designing. Like developers, they might try to write, but they cannot write the way a technical writer can write. So if there is a UX writer, then probably you can take a seat back. But if your organization doesn't have a UX writer, demand it that this content doesn't look good. It needs a professional hand. So apart from the general tasks that you carry forward, make sure and tell them that how you can make it look better. And why is it important? Because UI is the first thing that a customer takes a look at. If UI has poor English or UI has sentences which are not matching, which are not helping properly, it is a very bad impression about your company. So go forward and grab it. On UI, you will see multiple messages also, which actually developers, when they write the code, it's part of their code, but it's appearing on the UI. So take initiative, take control of those things and tell them we will help in that. So this is second thing. And of course, these are the things which add value to your profile also. Apart from guides and all, which we already discussed, there are many things which are picking up. Many of these have already picked up, but if you haven't done it, you can make an effort. For example, in-app documentation. In case you're not aware, in-app is in application. So when there is an application, there might be a scope of, if you have opened an application and you see getting started, there is some kind of video which is played, which asks you that, hey, do you want me to help you how to use the application, how to get started with the application? And then if you say yes, there might be a video playing. It will basically teach you which feature does what in a nutshell. There are small videos Where are they appearing? They are appearing inside that software, inside that application. That kind of content is not the content from your guides, which is lying somewhere on the documentation website. That kind of documentation is called as in-app documentation. You can very well help your organization get up to that level where they can provide more help to customers through in-app documentation. Then you have a website, you want to be more user-friendly, customer-friendly, develop a chatbot, develop a voice bot. Even in our group here, there are people who have already done it. Then there is video tutorials, or the better word is video storytelling. So video storytelling is something where through videos, instead of writing guides, through videos you basically prepare the content. Short videos, long videos, that depends on your content strategy. But just by watching those videos, customers can learn a lot. Information mapping is an old term. But now when the focus is more on thinking rather than just following the style guides and writing the guides, information mapping is a thing which you can pick. Remember, all these things will add value to what you are already, if you don't know. So keep a thought for these, pick what suits you, and you can add it to your delivery list. In general, just let's take a nutshell look on what's the doc processes basically we follow. And the expectation is that most of us should know this already. It is here just, you can say, for revision, okay? So probably you know it. If you don't know it, then make sure you try to learn it. I call it basically formulas. DDLC is nothing. It's a formula that we need to follow very diligently. If we follow that, even in the agile world, nobody can basically trouble us. We can sail the agile race very easily. Content strategy, put stress on thinking more rather than just writing. Try to be a bit more planned. Design thinking. Now, probably some of you will say, why is design thinking here? What does a tech writer has to do with it? So if you know the definition of design thinking, it's about finding a problem in advance before the customer comes to you, okay? Finding a problem and then trying to provide a solution. And I hope some of you will resonate the idea that as a doc team member also, you also have your own areas of finding the problem for customers and resolving in advance instead of waiting for customer tickets that this documentation sucks or this part of documentation doesn't make much sense. As a writers, the authoring approach. I'm sure all of you know this. It's just here again for knowing, but writing here means you should be aware of this, and you should be not only aware, but if you're working as a technical writer, whichever level you are, you should be very confident of this. Data generally doesn't mean that you should know data as per the word, because that's a process, and many companies I understand don't still follow data. But then there is a structured approach and topic-based approach. Most of the doc team follow that without using the word data. Make sure you are well versed in that. It's a structured world today when we talk about technical documentation, and you can't be on the fence. You have to be a good player to follow it. Minimalism, you all know, less is beautiful. Write less, express more. That's a big art. Many of you must have already learned it. And whatever input you get, whatever data you collect, use your information mapping skill to use the input in the best possible way. We get a lot of input, but then all that input cannot go into the documentation. So separating that input from the content that you will deliver in your documentation is an art. It can't be done randomly. Then other processes. Docs as code, in case you have heard, documentation as code, which helps you take complete control. We have a separate slide on documentation as code, but here just in short, it is not just a tool where you can author. It's a tool which helps you author in a very easy way. It helps you to collaborate, and it helps you to design and plan your own website. Own website means documentation website. Generally, when you are using different tools, what happens that you are just providing a guide. You might be providing the output in HTML or PDF or some other form. That guide goes and lies somewhere on your documentation website, which is not controlled by you, which is controlled by somebody else. But docs as code, if the company follow it, it gives them the freedom to control right from its authoring to reviewing and then to publishing also. In new processes, bots, in case if you have reached a level where you have a good documentation website, then I think next level should be bots for you in case you haven't tried it. Try to explore about it. Video storytelling, help content can be available in any form. There is no rule that says in today's world that just PDF is enough, just HTML is enough. Because one of the main things that as a documentation planner we have to think of is how the user is accessing our content. Everybody might not be compatible with PDF. Everybody might not have time to go through your articles which are in HTML form. But many might love to watch short videos. Series by series, you prepare the videos. So considering all the customers, you should basically think about all options, and video storytelling should be also in your to-do list to make your help content complete. To achieve all this, you might have used different tools, and even if you haven't used, you might be knowing of different type of tools. So it's just a summary of what kind of tools are there, but of course it's not a complete list. So you can just go to the wiki page of technical documentation tools, and you will notice that how many, actually more than 100 tools which are known to you, and there are more than 500 tools which are there. Somebody or other has been using it. In general, if we categorize, if we just want some kind of print and all, we call it desktop publishing. So earlier we just had MS Word, then long ago we had Lotus also. In today's world, basically MS Word and Google Docs, those are very popular. Unstructured FrameMaker, FMS for FrameMaker, those help you in desktop publishing. For help authoring tools, which is HATS, you have many popular tools. RoboHelp was the leader long ago. Madcap Flare has caught up pretty well. Then we have structured FM also, and then we have a lot many more. Some of them are mentioned here. If you are using data, purely data process, some tool which is supporting only data XML like Oxygen XML, XMetal, and there are other tools. For developer documentation or for API documentation, there is a huge list. The popular ones are like Swagger, Postman, README, and there are more. We talked about in-app documentation. For in-app documentation, there are specialized tools. WalkMe, WhatFix, Pendo, these are some of the popular ones. Apart from that, there are many others. Your documentation can also go as wiki, then it can go as CMS. In case you want to write KB articles, Zendesk is one of the most popular ones, then WordPress is also there, Intercom is there. And if you want for videos and graphics, you know those tools. So this is just a list, but when you are deciding over all the doc plan, This list is here just for you to view. Some of you might be knowing some of them. Some of you might not be knowing others. In case you are planning a career move, or even within the same organization, you are in a position where you might have to migrate to, you might be facing some challenge in the existing tools and you might want to migrate. You can take a look at what suits your company requirement the best. The list is here just to let you know that all kinds of options are available according to the latest market. We talked about Docs code. So in Docs code, those who don't know, we can simply divide it into three levels. First is the authoring level, where we author. Second is we use a repository which can be used for reviewing purpose or collaboration purpose with all the reviewers, and then we publish it. So for authoring purpose, markup languages are used. But those markup languages are, in case if you're scared even of HTML, markup language here doesn't mean like you have to learn all those tags and all. These are very documentation writer friendly languages. There are different terms used for it. Markdown you may have heard of, then there is ASCII doc, there is REST, DocBook, and there are a lot more. All these are separate streams which help, they use markup languages, some language from markup family. They use various user-friendly shortcodes, which if you are writing 1 to 2 documents, you will remember on your fingertips. How it helps? In authoring, you don't have to struggle with the styles. You save your time. Your complete time is focused on this. If you are a manager, you can probably try to implement Docs as code in your organization also. Reason, it reduces the cost. Your company doesn't have to buy very expensive documentation tools for authoring, then maintaining separate website. So all those costs are gone. It is easy for writers to use, easy for overall documentation team to manage. For collaboration, the repository could be something like GitHub, Bitbucket, which your development team generally uses. So cost to company is pretty less. The only thing that company needs to invest in is, for website, you will need a static site generator. The static site generator can be Jekyll, Hugo, Sphinx. Again, there are multiple options. And overall, from the documentation team's perspective, while it eases your work, lets you focus more on writing rather than struggling with crashes or struggling with different kind of styles. You can use your time once you have planned your document. You can use your time peacefully in writing. And more or less, all these editors, type Markdown, ASCII doc, REST, all these are well equipped to support the popular styles. So Docs as code, certainly, if you have not tried, and if your company wants to reduce cost, this Docs as code I have kept, I wasn't planning to keep this as a separate slide. Day before yesterday, or probably on 30th, I had a discussion with 2 different kind of people who were working in small organization. They have a good plan for their company, but they don't want, they say that their company is not willing to invest in FrameMaker, Oxygen, because it costs a lot. But then they want a world-class website. So there, when they were talking, I said, talk about Docs as code, because it helps you also as a writer, and it reduces the cost of the company also. And even your developers don't have to learn your tools. You don't have to convert it to MS Word, send it as in the email, or share it on SharePoint for reviews. You simply push it to GitHub or Bitbucket, whatever your development team is using. Use the same repository. So you are working with the development team, shoulder to shoulder matching. So I'm not sure how it goes with them. That I will come to know later. But this is how I perceive it. So even for a smaller organization where people don't intend to invest too much of cost on tools, you can always go ahead And first you learn it and then go ahead and talk about it. Tools and everything done. That's basically something which you can buy. How about the documentation team when we talk about the current trends? First, let's talk about what is your documentation team in general. Yes, there are organization where only one technical writer is there or only two technical writers are there, but wherever there is something called team, what do we have? We have probably a leader who is the manager from technical documentation team, and then we have individual contributors. These individual contributors, their designation can come from leads, technical writer, staff technical writer, senior technical writer, to just technical writer, or they could be freshers or very intermediate technical writers also. All of them have some role to play. They will have their own projects, own expectation, but overall doc output depends on them. They play a very vital role. They play a vital role in building documentation as the third pillar because it's their work overall. There is manager who helps in coordinating the thing, making sure that the doc team gets what they want, they need. And the manager takes the word or anything, what the team is doing, what is the new plan, to the management also. So manager and the team members, they are not two separate things. Both represent documentation because outside the documentation team, anybody who wants to praise the documentation team will praise the team, and anybody who will have of that view, oh, what documentation? Nobody reads documentation. They will not spare the managers also. So as a team, both the entity, the tech doc leaders or the RM roles, what you call as resource managers, and the individual contributors should join hands. Both have their important key role. The role that managers play, individual contributors can't play. The role that individual contributors play, managers can't play. Both need to join hands and work towards the development of technical documentation in their organization. That's how the team will get respect. As a technical writer, in case these are basic things, if any of you think that you still need to follow this, make sure you do. Technical writers, the other word for technical writer is technical communicators. Make sure your communication within the team and outside the doc team also. It's very efficient, and more than efficient, it's timely. Even when you are working on projects, if you need to communicate, whatever be the communication channel in your organization, whether it's Jira tickets, whether it's email, make sure you communicate in a timely environment. Don't be late. Late communication is equal to no communication. And keep your communication clear and polite, but communicate at all the time. Believe in teamwork. You may be a superstar or you may be a newbie, but trust others. Just one person can't do anything. Remember, here we are talking about documentation trend, and we are also talking about documentation as third pillar of the organization, not just for documentation team. So if to the world you are going to show that documentation is the third pillar, for that you need to provide quality documentation. For quality documentation, you need teamwork. Just one person can't do it, whether it's the manager or whether it's a very good and experienced individual contributor. It's not a cup of tea for just one person. So develop a bond and always think about customer. The moment you will keep customers at center, you will have the design thinking model working. You will always keep asking yourself as a team also, what's the next problem customers can face. But then first you will identify the problems, and then together you can brainstorm and work towards the solution. As long as you are providing solutions to the problems which may happen in future, trust me, in the organization, you and the documentation team, the respect for that, it will keep growing. You will not be counted as individuals who belong to a team which doesn't help customers directly. The respect will automatically come. The survey that we have run before in the last week, where there was one question, what do you think that the current situation of documentation team is with respect to the organization and different teams? Maximum answers we received was, it is better than before, but it needs to get better. So earlier, probably those people meant that there was very less respect for documentation team. Now it has got better. But then there are still few things where we need to cover a lot. All this depends. The moment companies realize that your output, your mode of working is impacting the customer in a positive way, trust me, all that value, respect will automatically come. Apart from tools and processes, many people keep talking about tools and tools. Remember, writing processes and tools, those are helping you personally or the doc team in delivering something. But beyond that, you have to be more of a thinking mind. Don't just be somebody who just listens to orders, takes requests, and does the work. Always follow a process. Always think that how something can be improved. Just following orders will not lead you anywhere in the long run. People need thinking mind in today's world. And in today's world, when we talk from organization's perspective, nobody will say, oh, you are a technical writer, fine, so you should be knowing only about writing. There may be expectation that you should know more than that. They will not ask you to code, but about the product. And this will only happen when you will think a bit beyond, and you will play then up. The moment you think, keep a thinking mind, you will have a proactive approach, because then you are not just sitting and taking orders. Long back, we ran a survey, two-way survey. First, we asked technical writers that what are the challenges they face from other teams. And then we ran a survey for developers and others asking what are their thoughts about technical writers. You will be surprised to know this survey we had ran 1 year before, and the comments came from developers, product managers, QA team. Most of them said technical writers work in isolation. They hardly try to gel around with the teams. Teams means other teams. In an agile world, it was a very surprising thing to learn that in agile, especially in software documentation, most of you must be following agile. You have meetings and different kind of levels, where you're forced to meet. Daily stand-ups are there, different other kinds of meetings are there. You are supposed to be there. Still, the people are saying that we don't find them. And this was not due to Corona, okay? They were talking about the office environment. So you need to have a proactive approach where you don't create this kind of feeling among others that to find a technical writer, it's very tough. They work in isolation. They just don't follow the norms that others are following. Once you become proactive, you might have to go out of your comfort zone. Even if you don't like interacting much, even if you don't understand the technology much, and you think that, oh, in Scrum calls, daily stand-ups, out of 15 minutes, 13 minutes, they are talking just about the technology, what they're using, what challenges they had, and I don't understand a wee bit of it. And then to answer those three questions, what did you do yesterday? What's your plan today? Do you have any blockers? I just get to speak 15 seconds. So why should I go to the stand-up calls? In the same way for other meetings also, wherever developers are there, product managers are there. Oh, product manager is talking about the whole product. That is not my That is not my field. That is not my role. My role is my manager has given me one particular feature in this. And then I know that, okay, there are two changes going to be happening in this project. I am just supposed to document that. I'm not bothered about the rest of the things. That's a wrong thing from your perspective. So challenge yourself. And because challenge yourself, go to such meetings, interact with people, try to learn more. Don't be just focused on what you are supposed to write, because that's a very small world. Today you are supposed to write that, tomorrow you will be asked to write more, because it's all about product. So your knowledge skill should go higher, and the more knowledgeable you become, the better you can help the company. And I might be repeating it fourth or fifth time. The more ways you find to help the company, this is the way you get respect for yourself. Doc teams get respected, and this is where the pillar building contribution is going on. Once you're comfortable with all this, obviously, try to come up with innovative ideas. Don't just be happy ever in just doing what you have been asked for. When you are going beyond, think of innovative ways. Innovation doesn't mean that you are going to build a rocket. Innovation can be at very small levels. You can think of innovation in your daily work. If you are using a tool and some activity takes a lot of time, you can think of innovative ways to reduce that time and then share with your team members. Hey, I found that. See if that helps you also. Innovation can be in today's world when companies give you more freedom, thinking about, oh, we already have two different kind of guides. How about this small guide, a new guide? Because everybody doesn't want to read that full user guide. Let's have a quick start guide. Let's have a video. Let's have something else. Let's present the content in a different way. Everything which is going away from the normal stuff that you and your team members do, everything is innovation. And all that matters. Yourself also, you believe in transparency, and of course from your managers. Whenever we are talking about team development things, be transparent. Don't hide information which doesn't, by where you don't feel harmed by sharing with others. Knowledge is there to share. Trust me, if you got more knowledge, try to share it. It will not reduce your value, it will increase your value. Even if people learn from you tomorrow, they know that you are the person, you are the go-to person for the next problem. So be transparent, and always, especially with your team members. This whole presentation is about the doc team bond. If the doc team bond, what you can do as individual, whether you are individual contributor or manager, that is the thing we need to do to achieve that quality. And that quality will build this technical documentation as third pillar in your company. Process oriented. Processes, when you are working as a lone writer, your process, your world. Trust me, it's very good. The moment you work with some other people, try to follow the doc team process. Yes, if you have some suggestions about improvement, go ahead and share that. But if you are not suggesting, then whatever is existing, please follow that. Because if multiple team members are working and everybody follows their own process, it's quite a mess. As a team, we need to follow some processes. This helps your work also, daily work, and overall team achievement also. These things are going to repeat all these vital skills. These are not in the list of authoring processes or documentation tools, but these are the things which help you work better. If you haven't followed some of these, try to just follow these for some time and see if there is a change in your work environment. Probably you will feel better. The pressure that you feel daily, process oriented, for example, you don't have your process documents ready, you are not following that. Someday somebody asks, hey, what did you do oh, what happened to this task which was there in the last month? And then you will go ahead and then search so many things, Jira tickets, where was that email? Did I keep it? But if you have followed a process, whatever work you are doing, whatever work is at least under you, you will have a way to follow or to know that, okay, last month work, this time you will have a document ready already for that. You will simply open that and share it. So that's easy for you also. So these are some skills. Probably you can call it as soft skills. I don't know what exactly to term it as, but probably you can call it as soft skills. And when we are talking about soft skills, if any of you thinks, what is this, Puneet? We are not here to talk about soft skills. What is the importance of soft skills? Then I will request you to refer to some of the LinkedIn JDs. JDs, right? Job descriptions. Earlier, primary skills only talked about documentation tool and your experience. Nowadays, primary skills ask for some key soft skills like a proven team member. Now ask yourself why these soft skills get into the key JDs. Many companies give more priority to people who have some record of better soft skills now, even if they are very talented. Because everybody is trying to build a team. Nobody wants a superhero or heroine right now. They prefer people who can work better in a team. So focus on those. It's for you also, it's for the team also. Now let's try to conclude that, okay, overall with all this, when we are trying to build the pillar of technical documentation team, who can do what? Managers. Yes, what is their key role? Everybody knows, so we are not going to talk about. But what if they haven't been doing, what they can do? First, managers have to go beyond the role of just a resource manager. They need to think, they need to analyze, sorry, there is a spelling mistake. They need to analyze, interact, and plan. They need to check customer behavior. They need to see company's strategy. Based on that, they need to plan. To understand customer behavior, they should be using some kind of analytics, whether it's Google Analytics or some internal form of checking that how the customer is using our documentation. Last week, we had a session, and in that it was told the importance of Google Analytics. In the same way, this analyzing is very important. Just creating document and just throwing it on the doc website doesn't help anymore. We need to analyze, and primarily if somebody is a manager, it's their job. They should find a way to meet the customers directly. If it is not possible, then okay, run a survey. Depending upon whatever you want, it can be a quarterly or a 6-monthly survey that, okay, what do you think, what do they think about documentation, how they are using it? Let's see what exactly they have to say. Apart from those means, they should also try to have direct contact with all the customer facing teams of the organization. There are field teams, there are implementation teams, there are support teams, there is product management team, all those teams who are interacting, even the sales team, because at times they go for some kind of interaction with the existing customers and they also have some nice things or bad things to talk about documentation. Idea is here to get the feedback from the horse's mouth. Developer will not be able to give you that. So managers should go and try to collect that. They should collect tickets. Support tickets are there. In support tickets, support teams write very clearly what kind of issue was raised, what was the exact issue of the customer, how was it resolved. Find a way to interact with the support team. Ask them for a monthly report on things that basically impact documentation. From there, you will be able to figure out that all these documents, was there a documentation issue? Or support teams used doc links to resolve the ticket. If they use doc links to resolve the ticket, you can boast off that, okay, see how documentation is helping the support team. And if there is a thing that, okay, support teams comes that, okay, customers went to the website, they saw the document, but they could not complete whatever they were supposed to do, then it's a learning thing. It will help you plan. So keep the interaction on, and don't just keep interacting only with your team members, but interact with other teams also. Apart from other help, the other thing it helps within organization is that all the stakeholders, all the leaders from other teams, they know that, hey, there is a documentation team and this person is the manager. He or she is leading it so well. They are always ready to receive feedback. Most of the time, feedback is bad, not only for documentation team, for all the teams. But then again, the person is ready to take the feedback because they want to improve. And that, trust me, really helps. That builds a confidence around you. Okay, that's number one in my view. Number two is within organization. Sell your work, and your work doesn't mean manager's work, because a manager is nothing if the team is not performing. But then it's manager's job also, if the team is performing, to let the leadership know that how good the team is performing. Don't wait always for the project releases, which are like 3 months or 6 months long. Develop a habit to share a monthly report with all the stakeholders. This tells every month how documentation website has been working. If you are following analytics and all, then you will know how many leads, how many users were there. From there, it's your art of deciphering the data. Decipher it in a way where it lets people know that documentation team has been doing a great job. Documentation website has been helping the customers a lot. In a company, always remember, whether you are a manager or IC, it's always about customer. It's not about you and me. If customer is happy, everybody is happy with you. So increase that visibility. And in case you think that, oh, nobody has asked me to share that kind of report, doesn't matter. Even if nobody has asked, just you are a manager, you are entitled to do it. Nobody can stop it. Just share it. And in case you have channels like Slack and some public channels people use, companies use, post it there. Create a documentation room, and in documentation room, invite others, and then create that. So this way, your leadership knows how good the documentation team is. And remember, this way you also know where are the key improvement areas. Okay. Secondly, your team member, you will get a team which will count you in you as a real, leader. Leaders, managers, that's the difference between manager and leader, which is very popular. I don't need to repeat it, but still just one line. Manager just manages. Leader basically motivates the team. Does things which makes every team member have a firm belief in their ability. They know that their work is not going unnoticed. The feel that the manager is standing behind you, it gives a big boost to the team members. Yes, you're always there to guide them, but so be a leader, and this way, if you interact with the management will be also happy, and then only they will notice. Never think that, oh, this thing is happening, so they must be noticing. Nobody notices that. Nobody has time for that, unless you provide some kind of PPT and slide, some presentations. Use the meetings wherever such kind of meetings are happening, and wherever you are there, take a slot, request for a slot of 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever is visible. Present some status. Don't just go and sit there to see status of others. So managers can do a lot, and of course, a lot of improvisation, innovation things. Bring it to your team. Keep challenging your team. If you think your team is already good in something, get them the next challenge, because that helps them enhance their skills also. So they will remain motivated. And of course, if you are a leader, you will take care of every other thing. So that's my request to the managers. This is what your contribution will be in building the pillar. And remember, you are the main part. If we are talking about technical documentation as a pillar, then you are the main part. If we have a weak manager, even if the team members are good, this pillar will never be built. Because in every organization it happens. Even in big organizations, I have seen there are people from other departments who say, hey, documentation, who cares about it? So it's you who have to tell that, okay, it's not about you, but customer care about it. And organization needs it. So that's about the managers. Now, building the pillar, team members. First of all, I will say team members, I've been talking about team environment and all. Believe in that. Trust your managers also. Your manager is always not there just to screw your life. They also need you. So if you do really good work, trust me, generally you will be praised and you will get basically the value which you think of. But then for that, you have to do a few things on your own. First of all, especially if you're seniors, you will have some special role assigned. Special role means your project role and all. Take proper ownership for that. Make sure that you are able to do your work without much help. But yes, in case you realize you need help, make sure you ask on time. Go back to the manager or whomsoever you want. Keep the interaction channel open. In the end, what matters is that overall, you take ownership, full ownership of something and deliver it without any excuses in the end. Oh, today this thing happened, tomorrow that thing happened. No, that's bad. At your individual level, create a working environment where people recognize you. Okay, they don't recognize you that, okay, this guy or girl works in this manager's team. They recognize you because at least in IT environment where you are working on different projects, you have your own space, you have your own team in the sense you are working with your project teams, scrum teams you have. So you have your own space. Make sure you are doing the right thing. You are being an agile writer where you are proactive, where you are contributing, and the work that you are doing. Like manager is supposed to showcase their team's thing. You are also supposed to showcase your thing also. In every sprint, you do some work, right? So when the sprint demo happens, make sure you ask the project manager to include your slide also, that for this particular ticket, if the developer says this ticket was closed, somebody says this ticket was closed, doc team member also says that, okay, for this team, for this particular ticket, this doc effort was taken and this is the output. Don't wait for the release of the project. Nobody waits for that. If everybody has to wait for the project release, then what is the use of a sprint demo? Remember, you are part of the sprint. You are representing documentation team. So make sure you grab the space. And all that should be done very politely. And of course, wherever you feel you need to upskill, don't feel shy of learning. And secondly, the one point that I would like to say, many times it has happened, people come to me and say, Punit, I have this much experience. Now I need to switch and I suddenly see that market is something else. So don't be such kind of person where you think about upskilling only when you need a new job. Because there may be a situation when you actually need a job. And since you are not skilled in a particular thing, which is trending in the market, you will have to invest time first in upskilling, and then you will have to wait. So keep upskilling. That helps you in your current job also. And of course, your future revenues are much better. Just some kind of food for thought, get hungry for excellence. think out of the box to deliver, all that respect and team appreciation will follow. And forget about the pillar. This pillar you have already actually built if you do as individual and teams together. So this is all I had. Thank you so much for listening. I'm open to questions.
Hi, Punit. So
Hello.
we have some questions here.
Yeah.
First question is by Amrita, and she says, can you suggest any specific courses we can take up for UX writing and information mapping?
Okay. So for UX writing, Amrita, I think you're part of that UX writing group, probably the WhatsApp group that we have. And so there are some UX writing experts there, and they have suggested many such courses. Okay. So there are earlier the challenge with UX writing was that the courses were available only at global level, which were coming in dollars and which was becoming very costly for us. But nowadays there are some UX writing courses which are available at India level also. And for UX writing, apart from courses, as far as I remember from their discussion, they keep on telling about some free resources available, which will help you learn. So I will recommend check that out. And in case you are not in that group, let us know. I will try to share that information.
No, Puneet, I am in that group, but I have recently joined that group. So I will I will check once more if those links are available in that in the chat sessions or in the history somewhere. But just in case they're not, I'll reach out to you once again.
Yeah, sure. Probably in WhatsApp, you might not be able to serve for archives. So we will get you for that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Same for information mapping also. Honestly, I don't remember an organization's name right now, but then there are specialized organizations. Please remember, for information mapping, if some technical writing group, somebody comes to you that, okay, we have information mapping, you can do that course from us. Make sure don't do that. Okay, not to do that. You do courses of information mapping only from organizations which specialize in that. That's a very specialized skill. Okay.
Okay.
So maybe some names I can give later.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So our second question is by Akshay. When we say quality documentation, how do we measure the quality of a documentation?
That's a wonderful question. Can somebody from the audience help me answer this? Because that's one question I think we keep on asking so many times. How do you measure the quality of a document? Anybody wants to take it up? Anybody from the audience? Okay.
Language, the usage of language without any grammatical errors, and then adherence to style sheet or the company style sheets that we follow. So I believe those constitute to the quality, like.
Yeah, those certainly, yeah, go ahead.
Maybe some technical specifications which are accurate. Probably what you've written is what is it has to mean by that.
Yep. Yeah, so that accuracy, technical accuracy, and the overall accuracy should be there. That's for sure.
In a nutshell, I feel that whatever document is reviewed multiple times and edited will be definitely of a better quality. Like whatever maybe the adherence to styles or language, anything, you just need more time to proofread it, review it, and edit it.
Yes, certainly.
Also, probably your user analytics metrics will help to give you a better idea of how your documentation is being received by the customer, which is the ultimate. Everything boils down to how your documentation is being accepted and read by the customer, if at all. So probably that is one metric we need to consider also.
Right. So this is very important point, the analytics part. Okay. As long as analytics was not there, it was very difficult to assess that, how it is being, perceived or, used by customers. But now analytics play a very key role where you can assess The quality of your documentation. Simply quality means that whatever your document is supposed to do, users are easily able to do that. If your topic is quite popular, then that means it is doing that. Now, that's number one. But at the same time, analytics tell you something else also. Many of you might have noticed on social media sites or general articles, nowadays, the moment you click an article, do you notice that on top after the heading it's written reading time 2 minutes, reading time 8 minutes, something like that? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same goes for technical documentation also now. When you are writing a page or a topic, you actually know how much should be the reading time. And since with documentation, it's not just about reading, people are supposed to perform some activities. So you have some data, some time limit in your mind. But in your analytics, if you see, for example, you think that I have to install something and there is a page about installation. So you think with all clicks here and there, it should take maximum 10 minutes. But you see the users are stuck on that page for 20 minutes. That means they are not able to understand your language. That means there are some steps which are missing. And then other way of finding that quality, the problem of users is if you think you have a very good article, in your technical documentation website, but still customers are calling support for that particular thing. That means they are not, either they don't know about your documentation website, or else if they know and still they are calling, that means they are not using it properly. Those are general ways of finding. But in general, how to, if I can twist this question, Akshay, how to test the quality of the documentation? Okay. Write a document, find a guinea pig in your organization, somebody who doesn't know the product. Ask the person to read it and perform whatever it does. That goes before delivery. That is one way of checking the quality of your documentation. If that person does everything smoothly, that means your documentation is up to the mark. And of course, all these points mentioned by others, readability, correct English, proper accuracy, and all those are factors. Does that help?
Yes, Punit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
So we have another question from Amrita. Do you think product training, including instructional designing work, will become merged with documentation and together be the third pillar, or will training become the fourth pillar? And do you think customer analysis, audience analysis will be a part of the defined process and not something we know in theory?
Okay, can you repeat the first part again, please?
Yeah, so do you think that product training will be included in the documentation as the third pillar, or it will become the fourth pillar?
Oh, no.
Product documentation. Yeah.
Okay, it should be the third pillar. Whenever it is content, it's all documentation. If there is an instructional designing team and they are making the training things, that is a separate thing. But if you talk about customers overall, which goes on the website, it should be all documentation. Yes, there are role for instructional designers also to play. Somebody with the skills of creating videos, making learning videos, there they play a very key role.
And the second part was, do you think that the customer analysis or audience analysis will be a part of the defined process and not something we know like in theory? So will it be there?
Yeah, it should be
Practically.
there. It should be there, and many companies, if you mean about documentation team, many documentation teams are already using it. It's part of the process. Basically, even in DDLC, think about DDLC. In DDLC we talk about 5 stages, right? Analyze and all. So this is your analysis part. When you talk about the whole maintenance section, then this is your analysis part. You gather the data, based on that you analyze, and wherever you see there is a scope for improvement, you plan for it. So it should be part of the overall document.
So Puneet, if I can just expand on that. So when you say should be part, it's a very good thing to be to have an idea of that your documentation needs to have an audience analysis done. But unfortunately, in my case, I have never actually had that as part of my processes in any of my organizations all over these years. So if I suppose I do want to introduce it, what do you suggest I should go ahead with? As in, how should I begin introducing this as within the processes that are already there? Because currently I'm working in an organization which is pretty well entrenched in its work, and it doesn't really have too much of scope for new processes to be introduced. So in that scenario, how do you suggest I should go about it?
The word is customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Improving customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are writing and all, as you said, it's already entrenched and everything. But then whatever we are delivering,
Mm-hmm.
is the customer receiving it well?
Mm.
So we want to improve customer satisfaction. For that, we need to see how they are using our documentation. For that, we need to have it. Simple thing is that. And of course, to get started, you need access. You need admin rights to the doc website, which very few technical writers have. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then only you will get access to Google to Analytics, and from there you can start. Initially, it may appear a big work, but once you get used to it, it's a very normal process. The data will come to your inbox every week or whatever time you think of.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a last question.
Yeah.
By Afshan. When you are a standalone writer and have to implement a better process in the project, but still the process guidelines and adherence is not followed seriously by the rest of the team, then what can we do to make them abide by the process? Also, any general tips to make the entire documentation process airtight and pretty clear?
Okay, two parts. So first part of Sean, when you say general process is not followed by other teams, others means people outside the documentation, right? Developers and
No,
others.
rest of the team members. I mean, doc team members.
Even the other team members, like the developers, rest of the team
Yeah.
with whom we work. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the biggest challenge, and this is the best scenario that you have placed. Where so if you are a lone writer, generally this thing happens because lone writers are in those companies where processes in general are not in place. In general, they say we are following agile, but actually they follow waterfall. Okay, so developers work at their own pace, and like I said, the first pillar. So of course, developers are worshipped; they feel free to do anything. But in that case, having said that, people have hired a writer, so there is expectation from writer. So the best thing first is to set the house in order. House in order in the sense, never complain about that, okay, this person is not doing this person is not doing that. Simply talk about your delivery, your output. So whomsoever you are reporting to, it starts, the path starts from there. That, okay, I'm supposed to deliver this. For this is the process I'm following, but for this, I have this much dependency because I need input, I need access, and different other things. This person, so whom to approach? If you are following Agile, there will be Scrum calls and all. In that, it is very clear. So talk in that and ask the persons, okay, this is what I need. There, if somebody is somehow not cooperating well, which is stopping your work, then you are entitled to raise it to the project team. This kind of, it is not considered as a complaint. Basically, it is considered as you are trying to do your work and you have dependency. If somebody is not helping you, then you are basically asking that, okay, that person is busy. Who will give me the other person? In one way, you are complaining also, but actually you are not complaining. All you are asking for is, this is my work, for this I have this dependency. Either that person helps me or else give me some other person. So these are slow steps that we should take because always we should keep it clear not to get into a fight. But then when you're talking about processes, nobody will mind it. But make sure if you're not getting help, raise it at the right time so that nobody tells you later, hey, Afshan, you should have come to me before, I should have helped you. Now at the delivery time, if you're saying, what can I do? So if you identify that there are people who are actually intentionally not collaborating, make sure you tell others, whomsoever is the responsible person, to take action about that. And don't complain that that person is not saying. Simply say that, okay, that person, I'm trying to find out a suitable time. That person is not finding the appropriate time. You give me some other resource. And that person will say that, okay, no, I can't give you that person is the only resource. Then you say that, okay, this person is unable to give time to me. So help me set up a meeting. In one way or other, you try to find a way out. Okay, that is one way of fixing the things. Slowly, if you do that, many people actually fall in place. Okay, that's number one. Now setting up the process and all, it's a long thing to do, but these are the small things. Let people know, non-doc team members know that, okay, this is what I'm expected to do. And first of all, you should have clarity about in documentation what all you want to do. And I assume you have that clarity, but then how you are implementing it. So let others know that, okay, for this particular project, I'm trying to do this. Before starting the work, let all the stakeholders know that, okay, this is what I'm going to do for this project. Do you have any suggestions? And there only mention, this is what is called as doc plan. In that doc plan mention, these are the dependencies. I need these tools. I need support from these team members. Is everybody okay with that? People will say okay with that, or they will suggest something. Based on that, your road is clear. And then tomorrow when you are trying to implement that process, if somebody says you haven't, nobody will come back and say you haven't informed us. So you can, so this kind of discussion should go on, but from your side also, this proactive approach should be there, especially in an environment where you feel collaboration is not too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks,
We are
Punit.
way ahead of the time.
Oh yeah, sorry for that.
And but I have one last question. Otherwise, all the others can just ping Puneet all the other questions so that he can get back to you on WhatsApp or on any other through any other channel. But yes, since this is the last one, I'll just quickly take this up. So Krishna Subramanya wants to ask, will video-based instructional modules with eloquent, charming speakers replace traditional tech writers in the future?
Probably yes, but who? I mean, this is just my personal question. Who says that within technical writing teams we don't have charming and eloquent speakers?
No, but the question is whether writing will be replaced by, probably some
Okay.
people,
Okay.
charming people.
Now coming to the
Explain.
okay, Krishna, that was just I was just kidding. But as far as when you say video, if you mean that the speakers, yes, hiring speakers or within from collaborating with other team members is not a bad thing. It is always fine. But remember, when we talk about video storytelling, if you are aware, to create a video, we need to create some scripts. That is called as storyline. As a writer, you are providing that. So basically, you are the script writer. Yes, if you have somebody in your team who can become speaker, fair enough. Otherwise, it's always good. Many teams, many even big teams, what they do is from doc team members, they just prepare the storyline. And then they hand it over to the marketing team or some other teams which prepare videos. So there is no harm in it. Your role stays in that as foolproof as it has to be. So both ways it can work and no harm in that because the content belongs to you.
So Krishna says that not all writers are good speakers. Yes, definitely, but all writers are definitely good writers. So we can always write for all those speakers out there. So we are here to stay and grow. Don't worry. We
Yeah,
are
so
definitely here to stay. We have just started. Tech writers have just started. They're just into the market now, and we have the whole world to conquer.
okay, thank you for asking
Okay, like
questions.
Thank you, Punit.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for listening to me patiently. And I hope it added value and you can gain some things from it and have some calendar, learning calendar for you. So thank you everyone for attending. Great. I had a great time with you. Thank you. Thank you for the
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thanks, Punit.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you, Punit.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Pallavi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, and have a great year ahead.
Thank you.